Today our topic is why the Stoics believed in fate. The Stoics were ancient philosophers who lived a long time ago, but their ideas are still important today. They believed in something called fate, which means that everything that happens is meant to happen. They thought that the universe is like a big, well-organized machine where everything is connected and follows a plan. This plan is not random. It is controlled by a divine reason or logic, which they called logos. The Stoics believed that this logos is in everything, from the smallest stone to the biggest star, and even in us, humans. Because of this, they thought that everything that happens for a reason, and that reason is part of the bigger plan of the universe. This belief in fate was very important to the Stoics because it helped them understand how to live a good life. They believed that if we accept that everything happens for a reason, we can stop worrying about things we cannot control and focus on what we can control, which is our own actions and thoughts. This idea is very powerful because it teaches us to be calm and strong, even when things are difficult. The Stoics believe that life is like a play, and we are all actors in it. The script of the play is already written by fate, but how we act our part is up to us. We cannot change the script, but we can choose how to perform it. This means that even if something bad happens, we can choose to respond with courage and wisdom instead of fear and anger. The Stoics thought that this is the key to happiness and peace of mind. They believed that when we accept fate, we become free from suffering because we stop fighting against things we cannot change. Instead, we focus on what we can do to make the best of every situation. This is why the Stoics practiced things like self-control, patience, and resilience. They wanted to be ready for whatever life threw at them, knowing that it was all part of the plan. The Stoics also believed that fate is not something to be afraid of. They thought that the universe is good and that everything that happens, even if it seems bad, is for the greater good. This does not mean that they were naive or blind to the problems of the world. They knew that life can be hard and unfair, but they believed that even in the worst situations, there is something to learn or some way to grow. For example, if someone loses their job, it might seem like a terrible thing, but maybe it is an opportunity to find a better job or to learn new skills. The Stoics believed that fate always gives us a chance to improve ourselves, even if it does not seem like it at first. Another important idea of the Stoics is that we should not blame others or ourselves for what happens. Since everything is part of fate, there is no point in being angry or feeling guilty. Instead, we should focus on what we can do now to make things better. This does not mean that we should be passive or give up. It means that we should act with wisdom and courage, knowing that we are doing our best in a world that is not always under our control. The Stoics also believe that fate is not just about big events like wars or natural disasters, but also about small, everyday things. For example, if you miss the bus, it might be because of fate. Instead of getting upset, you can use the extra time to read a book or think about something important. The Stoics believe that even small things can teach us important lessons if we pay attention. They thought that life is full of opportunities to practice virtue, which means being a good and wise person. Virtue is the most important thing for the Stoics because it is the only thing that is truly under our control. Everything else, like money, health, or fame, can be taken away by fate, but no one can take away our ability to be good and wise. This is why the Stoics believe that virtue is the only thing that can make us truly happy. They thought that if we focus on being virtuous, we can find peace and happiness, no matter what happens in the world around us. The Stoics also believed that fate is not something distant or abstract. It is something that we can see and feel in our daily life. For example, when we see the sun rise every morning, it is a reminder that the universe follows a natural order. The Stoics believe that we should learn from nature and try to live in harmony with it. This means accepting the natural cycles of life, like birth, growth, and death, and understanding that they are all part of the bigger plan. The Stoics thought that when we live in harmony with nature, we are also living in harmony with fate, and this brings us closer to peace and happiness. Another important idea of the Stoics is that we should not be attached to things that we cannot control. They believe that attachment leads to suffering, because when we lose something we are attached to, we feel pain. Instead, the Stoics thought that we should appreciate what we have while we have it, but be ready to let it go when the time comes. This does not mean that we should not care about anything. It means that we should care in a way that is healthy and balanced. For example, we can love our family and friends, but we should also understand that they are not ours to keep forever. The Stoics believe that this kind of balanced attitude helps us to be strong and resilient, even in the face of loss. The Stoics also believe that fate is not something that happens to us from the outside. It is something that we create with our own choices and actions. They thought that every decision we make is part of the bigger plan of the universe. This means that we have a responsibility to act wisely and virtuously, because our actions affect not only ourselves, but also the world around us. The Stoics believe that when we act with wisdom and courage, we are fulfilling our role in the universe and contributing to the greater good. This is why they thought that living a virtuous life is not just good for us, but also good for the world. In conclusion, the Stoics believed in fate because they thought that everything happens for a reason and that the universe follows a natural order. They believed that accepting fate helps us to be calm and strong, even in difficult situations. The Stoics thought that life is like a play, and we are all actors in it. The script is already written, but how we act our part is up to us. They believed that when we focus on what we can control, like our own actions and thoughts, we can find peace and happiness, no matter what happens in the world around us. The Stoics also believed that fate is not something to be afraid of, but something to learn from and grow with. They thought that even in the worst situations, there is something to learn or some way to improve ourselves. The Stoics believe that virtue is the most important thing in life because it is the only thing that is truly under our control. They thought that when we live in harmony with nature and fate, we can find peace and happiness. The Stoics also believed that we should not be attached to things we cannot control, but appreciate what we have while we have it. They thought that every decision we make is part of the bigger plan of the universe, and that we have a responsibility to act wisely and virtuously. The Stoics believe that when we live a virtuous life, we are not only helping ourselves, but also contributing to the greater good of the world. This is why the Stoics believed in fate, and why their ideas are still important today.